It's no secret that as fans of Total War, we knew that Creative Assembly has been underperforming recently with their latest Total War titles. So when Bellular News recently did this video which talks about the leaked sales for Sega titles and says Creative Assembly has underperformed and likely all of Sega's Western studios have underperformed, yes, I agree, but no, it's not as straightforward as that, especially if you're comparing it to Sega's other games. I do not think we can immediately jump to conclusions that Total War can reach the sales figures of likes of like Sonic, Yakuza or Persona 5, which are very strong titles for Sega. Now here's the kicker, none of those games are strategy games. Yes, it's like comparing apples to oranges because yes, they are both fruits but one is more popular than the other. Apples are more popular, sorry oranges. Fact is, RPGs are a way more popular genre today than strategy games. Same goes for action adventures like Yakuza, more appealing to the masses. Also not forgetting those are also multi-platform games versus studios that are making primarily PC games. But to be fair, this is not a conclusion that Bellular himself has come to, because he did clarify that Sega is the one that states that they have taken a hands-off approach with their Western studios and perhaps they would need to have a bit more of a say on what's going on in the West. So it seems Sega was not too pleased with how these Western studios have performed, which I think is not wrong to assume, especially their latest games. Now, this all makes complete sense now, seeing that Relic has chosen to go independent after a round of layoffs impacting them. Company of Heroes 3 underperforming, yeah, you're absolutely right. And Amplitude Studios as well going independent, despite the studio spinning it as there is no bad blood between them and Sega. It does make sense that for Amplitude, Humankind and especially Endless Dungeon, I think weren't all that great, or at least didn't live up to whatever expectations they had. And if they wanted to progress forward with Endless Legend 2 to follow their own creative vision, I think it would be impossible to stay with Sega, especially since Sega has a change of heart now. So it's no surprise that these two Sega Western studios have left them. Of course, Sega still has 2 Point Studios over in England making smaller scope management games like 2 Point Museum. These were never expected to have the numbers of a Total War for sure. Now this may come as a surprise to you, that a strategy game channel like me admitting that yes, strategy games just aren't as popular as other genres. So while I think the expectation that Western studios are underperforming purely based on comparisons with the Japan titles is false, it's a no-go guys. But if we looked at the full potential of what Total War, Company of Heroes 3 could have got, yes, we can say that they did underperform. Company of Heroes 3 is an RTS, and if you actually compared it to like a game like Tempest Rising, which has so much a positive buzz when it released, Company of Heroes 3 blows it out of the water with like 30,000 players on release day versus 9,000 plus for Tempest Rising. But yeah, sure, you could say Tempest Rising had probably a much smaller budget. No doubt Total War Pharaoh was a bigger disaster for Creative Assembly than they would like to admit. Troy underperformed, and it's perhaps only got thousands of people playing that damn game because it was available for free on Epic on its release day. And Pharaoh improved a little from Troy because they learned it doesn't help making games an Epic exclusive in terms of sales for Total War. And also, Pharaoh was also well known for just being an expansion that Creative Assembly tried to push off as a brand new Total War mainline historical title, which, we historical Total War fans absolutely rebelled against that idea. We hated that. Three Kingdoms did amazingly well, selling more than 2 million in the financial year of its release, more than Warhammer 3 by a mile, but that's got a boost in sales because of the interest from the Chinese market. Warhammer 3 just shy of 1 million in the first year is perhaps quite underwhelming, but we do understand that the Total War franchise has been beaten to death like a dead horse with so many iterations that have not really pushed for a more revolutionary design ethos, something CA abandoned after the disastrous launch of Rome 2. Not to mention the utter disaster of communicating with fans, dealing with expensive DLCs and other criticisms, plus the shit show that was the Creative Assembly management. Just too much corporate bullshit. But yeah, the Total War franchise troubles are a whole other video. Now, if you're wondering, are there any strategy game that can compete with other more popular genres, there is one. If the game has the word civilization with the name Sid Meier in its title. Civ 6 had about 180,000 players on release, while Civ 7 never went above 80 something thousand. So I'm sure it's got even 2K scratching their chin going is this bad? Yes, 2K, it is bad, but primarily the fans were not impressed and sentiment has killed sales for Civ 7. It's not that players have disappeared, they are still enjoying playing Civ 6, which became the fastest selling in the series and also the best selling, something ridiculous like 11 million plus copies sold. So I think instead of comparing different studios and game genre performances, I think it's better that studios like Creative Assembly return to their roots of what makes Total War an amazing idea for a strategy game. Get plenty of community feedback, be transparent in the process, and all Sega has to do is keep Creative Assembly anchored to this North Star. Make Total War games that truly push the series forward, not an annual or every 2-year release cycle. But you tell me in the comments, do you think strategy games can compete with RPGs or a Battlefield or Call of Duty? I wish it could, but you tell me your thoughts. Speaking of Total War, I recently did a video about Medieval Total War, the classic Total War game that I consider as the best of the classic Total Wars. Watch that video over here. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to hit subscribe if you like more strategy game news and videos from my channel. Farewell, noble friends.